Before we step into the magic today, I have something special just for you. To celebrate this growing realm we're building, FaeScripted is giving away a paperback box set of A Court of Thorns and Roses. All 5 books wrapped in romance, danger, and everything we love about fantasy. To enter, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. That's it. One of you will be chosen from the comments on Friday, July 11th, 2025. And yes, it's open internationally. Now, let's return to the story.
I wake to moonlight pooling on soft grass, every petal shimmering silver, as if alive. The night is warm and damp, drenched in jasmine and honey, and the air itself seems to glow. My heart thunders in my ears, alive with every sound. The low hum of insects, the soft rustle of leaves, and beneath it all, his slow breath. Beyond the circle of moonbeams, I see him, or maybe I imagine him. He stands among the garden's roses, a statue half-grown from vines, motionless, except for the faint rise and fall of his chest. My breath catches. I cannot believe he is real. I remember how I found this place, the hidden path beneath the old summer court throne, a stone arch overgrown with ivy. I remember stepping into light and suddenly seeing him there. Time lost meaning the moment I first spotted those eyes. Now, all I know is that I am here, and he is here. The garden hums around us, as if it remembers me. Here, hidden from the rest of the world, the night drips with magic, and in that light, I see him clearly. His form is striking, tall and lean, shoulders straight as if he's forever on guard, even in stillness. Moonlight paints him in pale blues and grays. His hair is dark, a tangle of curls that frames a face both young and ancient. The contrast is wild, a faint silver sheen to his skin, like morning frost, but cheeks hollowed by long captivity, lips blood red against stone paleness. My gaze drifts along the vines coiled around his ankles and wrists. Delicate thorns prickle the edges, tenderly cruel. Those vines, alive, they breathe and pulse like veins. They look half-grown, half made of wood, ready at any moment to sink into him again and pull him back. He is bound, but he looks so free. The air is so still, I could almost imagine I'm alone, until he blinks and everything shifts. In a heartbeat, I realize he's looking at me. He stands there watching, heaving a slow breath as if waking from a dream. My heart catches. He has found me. For a split second, I am a moth drawn into the flame of his gaze. There is curiosity there, wariness mixed with something like relief. His mouth parts, and he whispers, or rather, he speaks, and the sound chases away the hush around us like a wind.
You shouldn't be here.
His voice is low and smooth like river stones, warm and clear, and it reverberates inside me. My knees go weak at the sound, and I sink down onto the moss. My breath hitches. I shouldn't be here, I think to myself, stunned by the way the words settle. I want to answer him, to say that I know that I had no idea, that I'm sorry, but I can only stare back with wide eyes. All I can do is listen. The moon trembles in a solitary cloud. A firefly drifts past, and in its flickering light, I see Brooks's jaw tighten. He scans the garden around us, and I realize I had been too caught up in him to notice how alive everything is. Roses snap closed as if startled. A jasmine vine twines around its trellis. Quiet laughter of petals rustling. The air pulses faintly, as if aware of us. It feels less like a garden and more like a living room that hasn't seen a guest in a long time. And now the door has opened. He steps off the stone dais where he's been locked, long legs unfolding. Each footfall is careful, as if he trusts the ground not to betray him. He folds one arm across his chest, the other still bound, and focuses that deep gaze on me again.
You were supposed to leave after sunset.
He says, voice a question and an accusation, all at once. My pulse thunders again, and I realize I've been holding my breath. I swallow. How does he know? I was sure I was silent as a shadow. I shift on the moss, nervous, and feel its cool moisture seep into my knees. My knees are scorched with his eyes. The air is so warm on my face that I reach up to touch my skin, almost afraid my face is burning. The roses around us seem to hold their breath too.
You followed me.
I think, more to myself than to him. My thoughts flit anxiously. Maybe he hears them? He must. How else could he already know? He softens his gaze, that sad understanding in his eyes, as if he can almost see my racing thoughts.
Why?
He says quietly. It's a whisper, but it travels straight into my chest like an arrow. He really knows. He hears me. I want to shout back that I had no choice, that I had to see if the story was true, that I had to find him. But my voice would not obey me. Instead, all I do is wonder what answer I could give that would make sense. The night air has gone still again. Even the jasmine stops its sighing. A white lotus on the fountain nearby opens fully, petals grazing the air with a sigh. Ripples spider through the water. I stand, moved by a sudden need to reach him, to touch something real, so I can be sure I'm not dreaming this. My heart says, carefully. I step forward. The ground underfoot glows faintly beneath my boots, marking a path of moonlight, as if the garden itself is approving my steps. Every footfall is soft. I stop a few breaths away from him, not close, respectful of the vines that hold him like the roots of a tree. My fingertips twitch on my leg, wanting to tug at the green chains and free him, to wipe the tension from his face. I want to kneel beside him, but I'm still afraid I'll say something wrong or step on something magical and vanish. Brooks holds out a hand, palm up, as if waiting. In his palm, a single crimson rosebud, its petals tightly furled, locked in a gentle grip.
You look for answers.
He says softly.
Here is one answer. This garden is mine now. I am its prisoner, but you have never belonged to it.
I stare at the rosebud trembling in his hand. Moonlight pools around its edges. Why is this your prison? I think, and I try to convey more with my expression than my voice could. I want to know how he came to be bound here, and why the summer court cares enough to keep him alive. I shift forward again, and the branch overhead releases a dropped leaf, so it flutters to my shoulder like an offering. He closes his fingers around the bud, and it closes tight.
We both know the stories.
He says, almost to himself, loud enough that I hear.
Fae and their gardens, full of gossip and thorns.
He shakes out his hand, and a drop of dew falls onto the tile.
But a story doesn't mean truth.
I remember tales of Fae, how they lure mortals to gardens from which they can never leave. Stories scrawled in old leather tomes. I remember the old wives' warning. Never eat off the fairy table. Never trust a gift from the summer queen. I remember that her locks of hair held the colors of autumn. I wonder if that's why this place feels like both midsummer and twilight all at once, warm yet urgent. I didn't come here for the stories. I think carefully. My heart is pounding. I feel it even at my fingers. I force myself to smile, hesitant, though my face feels as heavy as a stone. I came for you, I think instead, but I'm not brave enough to project that, even in thought. I came because... The words trail off. Maybe I came because I couldn't bear the thought of you being alone. Maybe I came because I felt the pull of those vines, and it knew someone would follow. Maybe I came because I'm inexplicably drawn here by something I don't yet understand. He watches me, those golden flecks in his brown eyes, catching the moonlight.
Alone?
He asks at last. His voice is so soft that I almost miss it. When I look, he's straightened, suddenly vulnerable, like a wounded animal. But there's no cowering there, only a worn strength. The vines at his wrists slacken momentarily, as if his will has told them it's all right to loosen. His head tilts, copper curls brushing the vine on his shoulder, and he says, with a little humor,
You expect me to believe you followed a map into a tomb just to share tales?
In his eyes, I see hope war with pain. He is tired of silence, of being forgotten. For months, maybe years, I don't know how long, he has probably dreamed of speaking to another human, of a voice to break the endless green. Now, I am that voice. A breeze picks up. The garden stirs, roses unfurling, jasmine trailing their fragrance in a wave, as if our conversation has awakened it. The night blooms around us. I feel dizzy with warmth, with the scent and the wonder of having a man who has been trapped alone talking to me. And I realize, with a sharp intake of breath, I feel something else, something like recognition, a strange, familiar calm in my chest at his nearness, as if I've crossed a threshold in my world, come too deep for mere fear or curiosity. He steps closer, and I smell lavender on the collar of his shirt, earth and rain. He tilts his chin up, and his eyes unfocus for just a heartbeat, as if listening to something beyond me. Then he smiles, a crooked smile that makes the tension in his shoulders relax for the first time.
This garden,
He murmurs.
has secrets older than any summer story. But here's a secret. It's like me. It has been waiting.
It's almost a question, but I don't answer. Instead, I step even nearer, drawn by the faint heat radiating from him, drawn by curiosity hotter than the summer sun. I wonder, I think, reaching out almost imperceptibly, but I stop just before my fingers graze the vine at his ankle. My arm suspends in midair. His eyes snap open and latch onto my hand. He watches my reflection in those depths, unnervingly clear as water. The lotus on the fountain releases one last petal. Drops fall on the stone. I remember a folk rhyme. For every tread in the moonlit glade, a dancer's chance is made. It rushes through me, warm and electric. I raise my eyes to meet his. I want to tell him that as long as that vine holds him, I will choose to stay here with him. I want him to know that I am not afraid of whatever this is, not with him. He notices.
Do you feel it?
He asks.
The magic of this place?
His voice lifts.
It's not all on me. When you walked in, even the roses shivered.
I nod as if in answer, breathing out a laugh I didn't know I'd been holding. I wasn't sure I believed in garden magic before, but now I realize I do. Every flower between us seems to straighten and come to attention. The air tastes sweeter. I realize something then. I'm changing too. My skin warms. The knot of fear in my chest loosens. My pulse slows, matching the gentle rhythm of his breathing. I am no longer trembling. Instead, I feel grounded, as if the roots of this garden have anchored around my ankles, keeping me exactly where I belong. His eyes soften. My presence has done something to him. He looks less prisoner and more sovereign. His aura settled like a sun cresting the day. Maybe it's the smile now at the corner of his mouth.
You have the summer in your blood,
He says quietly, almost to himself. In one motion, sure and gentle, he closes the distance and guides my hand away from the vine. My fingers curl into the warm spring of his palm.
and so do I.
He adds. I squeeze his hand back, surprised at the bold claim, or perhaps at how easily I gave him mine. A swirl of stars drifts overhead, a constellation I've never seen, but somehow I know its shape. Two halves forming a heart. I swallow. The night has deepened, but suddenly I'm frightened of the dark if we remain silent. Words swirl through me, unspoken. Instead, I sit down very slowly next to him on the dew-soaked grass. The vines by his side clink softly. For a breath, I imagine he's not even bound. He talks again. He speaks of how he came to be in this garden, bits of it, at least. Words tumble out reluctantly, like reluctant sunbeams at dusk. I piece together a puzzle. There was a war once, a divided kingdom of Fae. He was a prince of that doomed spring court, or so I gather, brave and foolish. He tried to steal something sacred, meant only for summer, or he defied an ancient law that humans are not to meddle in Fae affairs. The Summer Queen, vengeful and fair all at once, cursed him to guard this garden forever. But she didn't kill him outright. Perhaps she couldn't. So instead, he was left to wander through a million blossoms without ever knowing freedom again. His mouth is so close now that I can almost hear the pulse at his throat. I'm drinking in the way his jaw tenses as he talks about her, about the Summer Queen and the world he lost. I hate her on his behalf. Part of me fears her too. She is powerful, divine, untouchable. But the larger part of me only wishes I could wipe that sadness from his face. Here and now, I'd break any promise, even the vow of silence, to save him. He reaches out to brush a strand of hair from my face, fingers just grazing my cheek. It's so gentle, I hardly feel it, but something buzzes up my arm from the contact. I shiver, not from cold, but from shock, from raw life.
You came here from the mortal world,
He says quietly, and I don't even bother to answer. I only nod against his touch.
This garden doesn't hold you like it holds me.
He continues.
You can leave whenever you want, but something tells me you won't.
I bite my lip. He's right, of course. I could turn away and vanish into the shadows beyond the ivied arch, back to a world where this is only a dream. There I have everything that I know. Home, family, safety. But then, I think I would leave him alone. That is a thought that blurs vision. I look down. The veins of my hand are ghostly blue in the moonlight. I think of his hand still in mine, solid, warm. I trace the crescent scars on his wrist where the vines had cut too deep. Something fierce lights up inside me. He pulls his hand back only an inch and takes a breath like he's tasting the night.
Stay.
He says. Once. The word is small, but it shakes me.
Stay until morning.
The phrase echoes in the quiet, until morning. I feel the darkness behind my eyes. Exhaustion and uncertainty swirls like smoke. The night is deep, but my resolve is deeper. I close my eyes for a second, tasting the air, noticing how real it all feels. He's real. I'm not dreaming. And that is both terrifying and wonderful. When I open them, the decision is already made. The garden and the prisoner, and all their tangled stories, have claimed me. I slip even closer, so that if he moves, we almost touch. I will stay, I think, though my lips barely move. Somehow, he hears it anyway. I smile, half ashamed, but full of the same determination. He lets out a breath that might be a laugh, and his eyes crinkle with something like joy or disbelief.
I was hoping you would say that.
He says. We sit together in silence, or maybe the garden speaks now with us. Fireflies gather, crowding around in a swirl of light. A breeze again drifts over the treetops, carrying a hymn of midnight cicadas and distant, faraway thunder. By the edge of the pond, a night lily blooms wide just for us, white and pure, its petals unfolding like hands in prayer. On the other side of the garden, I see dawn barely starting, a silver crest just above the horizon, but not yet gold. It promises the world will change come morning. If I leave now, perhaps nothing changes. If I stay, everything will. My heart brims with something fragile and fierce, something I have no name for yet. It might be fear, or longing, or a kind of homecoming. All I know is that it sets my feet steady and my mind quiet. I make my choice, and then the garden knows. Dew begins to gather on the petals around us. A crown of stars still glitters overhead. I lie back on the cool grass, next to him, letting the damp earth hold our weight. I'm closer to him now than I've ever been to another living soul. He moves to sit behind me, one arm leaning on his knee, studying me in the last blue of night. His gaze is gentle, curious, perhaps relieved. The vines that held him seem faded in that new light, a promise that my arrival began to break the old enchantment. I'm here, I think, firmly. He must feel it, because he relaxes into a smile. The garden sighs around us, satisfied. Tomorrow, I know, the Summer Queen's secrets will unravel around me, and I will not understand all of it yet. But tonight, I only need to know this. I am with him. I've chosen this, chosen him, and the vines no longer seem to snare me either. The hours slide by, quiet as petals falling. I talk to him softly, telling him what I know of the world outside. Stories of cottonwood skies and water that weaves through cities far away, and he listens in the way someone desperate for sound would listen. Brooks chuckles quietly once or twice, and I trace the sound like a melody. He tells me of the moonflowers that bloom here, only now as I sit beside them, like witnesses to our pact. When sleep tugs at my lids, I stay awake until it wins. I will myself to remember this choice, this flutter in my chest that tells me I have found something true. I curl into the grass, the soft whisper of it against my cheek. He settles next to me, warm shoulder to shoulder under the star-laced sky. The night watches us both. I am not leaving. Dawn can wait. Maya stays, and the garden cradles us until morning.
We need to move quickly, Mia. The Queen's guard is shifting, and if she finds us here, who knows what she'll do?
His eyes flicker with urgent concern. Even the faint breeze through the olive trees seems to whisper warnings. I trail behind him, heart pounding, as he edges toward a corner of the garden. My skin prickles at the name, the Summer Queen. Even speaking her title feels like summoning distant thunder. But behind Brooks' urgency is the warmth I've come to lean on. His gaze, sure and gentle, burns into my back as I follow him into the glowing garden. In the lantern glow, Brooks stands out in exquisite detail. All around us, pale blossoms shimmer like whispered secrets, and the air is warm with night-blooming jasmine and something ancient. I feel awake, alive, in a way the ordinary world never allowed. The petals underfoot leave faint pink prints on the marble as we hurry along. He turns abruptly to face me. His voice is low and urgent, but I hear only determination and promise. No fear, just that look of caring in his eyes. I study the set of his jaw, the way his shoulders tense but hold firm. Behind the urgency, there is something warm in his gaze that makes me believe everything will be okay.
I don't want to lose you, Mia. Please, trust me.
That single sentence, so simple and earnest, stops me in my tracks. It feels like a plea and a confession at once. My throat tightens, and I suddenly realize I do trust him, with all I have. He places a hand at the small of my back, guiding me through a veil of fuchsia petals. There's warmth in that touch, intimate and reassuring. His palm is steady. I feel a spark where he meets my skin. I force myself to breathe and follow, nodding, letting him lead me along the moonlit path. All the while, my mind floods with thoughts of him. The way he stands there, confident like a king at sunset. I remember how I used to shrink away from every challenge. Now I'm walking willingly into unknown danger for his sake. Even the soft chirp of crickets and a distant owl's hoot register. But above them all is the thudding of my heart. Each beat tells me this isn't a dream. I really am here with him.
No stalling.
He adds softly, a small, relieved half smile touching his lips.
We need to find a safer place, somewhere out of sight.
His smile is faint, but it cracks some of the tension. I blink away from the reverie to see the warm lantern light catching his profile. He keeps that gentle half smile as he steers me onward. I'm struck by how relieved he seems to have me, close and willing. I'm both terrified and exhilarated. We step around a glowing rose bush and a marble fairy statue whose eyes gleam ominously in the torchlight. I hug myself, suddenly aware that my palms are sweaty. I should be frightened, completely terrified, but instead, I only think of him. The gentle strength radiating from him makes me feel almost safe. The flowers sway as though they recognize him, but mostly I feel the reassuring press of his body against mine as he guides me.
You remember the midwife's warning.
He murmurs over my shoulder as we pass an ornate fountain.
No mortal eats in fairyland unless they want to stay.
My stomach twists at that reminder. Images of a silver tray of pastries and fruit flood my mind. He once offered me wine in a crystal goblet, and I had turned away. All those stories I dismissed as fables come rushing back. Even a single crumb of fairy bread can bind you here for eternity. I look up at him with wide eyes. He gives me a small nod, gentle but firm, reminding me that I listened. His grip on my arm tightens, as if to say he'll hold me close until I understand. The air suddenly tightens. I feel it too, a subtle change, like the world holding its breath. Brooke slips a long braid of my hair behind my ear. His thumb brushes my cheek. My breath catches. I shouldn't focus on how close he is, on the light stubble on his jaw, on his scent of leather and jasmine, but I do. Time slows to a crawl. The soft press of his palm against my back and chest ignites something in me. Heat rushes through my veins, as if the air around us has become charged.
Mia.
He whispers, barely above the rustle of ivy. His voice catches, thick with feeling.
I wish I had better words.
Even that murmured fragment of a confession is like a caress. The sound of my name on his lips sends a thrill through me. He looks at me as though discovering me anew, eyes dark and earnest, yet infinitely kind. His thumbs gently trace patterns on my hands where they rest against his chest, and I lean in despite every warning voice in my head. All I feel is his heartbeat beneath my palm. He hesitates, letting the silence sing between us. Then he leans even closer, the jasmine-scented air catching on my skin.
Mia,
He breathes. The word alone is a prayer. My heart pounds so loudly, I can hardly think. I don't pull away. Instead, I press my fingertips against the ribbon at his throat, as if answering an unspoken question.
I think I could believe in something impossible.
He says, voice rough with longing.
Something possible in this world.
I tremble. Each word hangs in the air. My lips part on a breath I don't know I'm taking. What's that? Would that be me? A spark flares behind his eyes. Relief? Astonishment? Hope? He doesn't answer with words. Instead, he just looks at me. And I know the answer. I press closer, unable to help it. We are just inches apart now, the lantern light soft on his face.
Mia,
He begins again, the breath catching on the single syllable.
I was born here. This place, it never let me go. I'm bound to this court by a curse.
My breath catches. Bound? Taken by the queen? I whisper.
Yes, when I first came here, I made promises I had to keep. I'm cursed to serve the Summer Queen. I never should have brought you with me.
Guilt and fear flash in his eyes. My heart breaks seeing him like that. Taken me with you? I whisper, confusion tearing at me. But even as questions rise, I feel a curious peace. This is him, being vulnerable, telling the truth.
I'm sorry, Mia. I thought I could protect you, but if they know you're here, I don't know what they'll demand.
I step forward, closing the small distance between us. You don't have to say sorry. I breathe, gently placing my hands on his face. None of this is your fault. His eyes lock onto mine.
Even after knowing all this, you still came with me.
I nod, voice steady despite the fear. If anything happened to you, I'd follow it.
Mia,
He chokes out, as if hearing something he dared not hope for.
you trust me that much?
I do, I whisper, more than I understand. I choose this. I choose you. He lets out a shaky laugh, part relief, part disbelief.
You love me that much?
I love you, I whisper back, and the words are truth itself. His relief transforms into something fierce.
I don't deserve you.
He mumbles, his voice breaking.
Promise me if this gets too dangerous, you'll leave. Go home, Mia.
I brush my lips against his temple. Nothing is more dangerous than a life where you're not in it, I say softly. I promise I'm staying. The world seems to still for a heartbeat. Then from the distance comes the unmistakable sound of gentle footsteps on stone. Light flashes behind us as the great double doors to the throne hall swing open. A figure appears in the gap. My pulse freezes. The Summer Queen steps into the garden. She wears robes the color of sunlight on leaves and a crown of roses in her hair. Her pale eyes, the color of dawn, sweep over us with cool curiosity. All around, even the flowers seem to quiet. She studies me for a long moment. Then her gaze settles on Brooks, who stands protectively in front of me. A half smile plays on her lips.
Did you think you could hide, mortal?
Her voice is soft, hypnotic.
Walk through my garden and claim safety?
Brooks takes a slight step in front of me, though I instinctively stay by his side.
Your Majesty, we meant no offense.
He says, with a deep bow.
I only asked for shelter and forgot the hour.
She raises an eyebrow.
Ah, the faithful knight protecting his lady.
The queen turns those pale eyes on me.
This mortal girl has chosen to bind herself to my court, and you, Fae, would have her stay here forever by your side?
Brooks looks into my eyes unflinchingly.
If that is her choice, yes.
he says softly. She watches me, head tilted.
Do you truly make this choice, mortal?
I feel her every word as a pulse of magic in the air. My heart hammers, but I know my answer. Yes, I breathe, meeting the queen's eyes. I choose him. For a long, tense moment, she is silent. Then, the queen's lips curl into a knowing smile.
Very well.
She says quietly.
Remember this night, both of you. My bargain has not forgotten you.
With a graceful nod of her head, she turns and glides back through the doors. The golden glow of dawn begins to spill in behind her as the massive doors swing closed. Brooks exhales, trembling. I let go of his hands and pull him into a tight embrace. Neither of us speaks. The danger of the night feels like a fading dream. All that remains is the new morning and the choices we've made. The sky over the palace is tinting rose as the fairy realm stirs awake. Lanterns flicker and fade. Flowers begin to open their petals, and the gentle song of dawn, birds fills the air. In the soft morning light, Brooks holds me close, brushing a strand of hair from my face.
I thought I'd have to watch you go.
He says quietly. The truth in his voice crushes me with its intensity. I press a kiss to his temple, tasting relief. I'm not going anywhere, Brooks, I whisper, meaning every word. I love you. I always will. He lifts his face, and when his eyes find mine, I see tears of joy shining there.
I love you too, Mia.
He says, voice softening as the sunlight catches his eyes and turns them gold. For a moment, the world is still. We stand together in the quiet garden. Around us, the fairy court wakes. Lanterns dim, blossoms unfurl, and a gentle breeze carries the promise of a new day. Yet we remain wrapped in each other's arms, the only two people who matter. Whatever comes next, I say softly, we face it together. Brooks smiles, a smile both sad and beautiful.
Yes?
He murmurs against my forehead.
Together.
We stay entwined as morning fully blooms. The dew on the petals catches the new light, and a warm breeze carries the scent of jasmine around us. I close my eyes briefly and breathe it in, anchoring this moment in my memory. And in this shared silence, with the morning just beginning, I know the truth. The risk of staying here is nothing compared to a life without him. By my own choice, I will remain in this world of magic and danger. Here, at last, I feel truly at home. I stand in the garden beneath the throne, where warm moonlight mingles with summer-scented incense. Silken petals drift through the air around us like swirling fireflies, each one a secret folded from twilight. Under my feet, the marble mosaics are alive with shimmering constellations of crystal fire. Magic coils in every stone, making the silence hum with expectation. My heart hammers from more than just this hidden beauty. It's the way Brooks stands by my side, quiet and steady, as I struggle to breathe. The garden stands still around us, as if it knows how fragile this moment is.
Mia, you don't have to decide yet.
His voice catches softly in the hush of the night. I almost want to turn to him right now and tell him I'm terrified, that everything in me wants to run back to the mundane world I came from. When I first stumbled here, I felt small and lost. But behind that first veil, everything changed. He changed everything. He showed me colors I never imagined existed outside of my dreams, painting my world in summer's golds and twilight blues. He taught me to see magic in the spaces between stars. Still, so many questions crash through my mind like waves on a glassy pool. If I stay in this realm, everything of me will be rewritten. The innocence and laughter of my old life would become a faded memory. If I leave, though, do I even remember him? Remember this last golden kiss, those deep green eyes guiding me in the wild music of the summer court's celebrations. I want to hold on to him, but what good is it if the moment it ends, I forget the one person who showed me real wonder?
Mia, I know it's a lot, but please, look at me.
In my memory, his eyes are drenched in summer sunlight, calm yet passionate, even as moonbeams filter through the crystal branches around us. My mind flashes back to that first night I wandered down here in confusion. He found me half lost under the stars, singing to flowers that seemed to answer back. He taught me their language without a single word, his fingers brushing mine with gentleness that felt like home. He whispered stories of sunrise and dew, each one a promise that tomorrow could be brighter than the day before.
You don't have to decide.
He said then, a distant echo in my mind. Yet here I am, and I have to decide. Each choice splits me in two. 1 foot in the mortal world, 1 foot in this luminous dream. I feel life calling me in both directions. The outside world waits with its responsibilities, its familiar lullaby of traffic and tired mornings. But this place has given me a wilder lullaby, one of twinkling stars and laughter and unknown wonders swirling around us.
I won't make this easier for myself, Mia.
Even though he only says this, everything changes. I know his carefully steady voice is cracking. Something trembles in his chest at the words. He cares for me so deeply that he can't hide it any longer. I remember how he stayed in my arms. On the first night I arrived, even when Queen Marava demanded I leave. He promised he would find me if I vanished from the summer court's records. I must have heard it on endless loop in my mind. The way he said, "I'm not leaving without you." But now, I'm the one trembling. Waves of desire and desperation and pure fear wash through me. Be with him, Mia. Stay. I almost hear him whisper. A faint smile teases the edges of my heart. But then another voice, rough and trembling, rises behind the tears I don't allow yet. Live without him. Leave. It sounds like me, the frightened girl I was, at a crossroads of worlds.
Don't give up on us.
He steps forward into a pool of silver light, and I can't tear my eyes from him. My blood sings in my ears. Staying means never knowing a sunset beyond these gardens. Leaving means never knowing a sunrise with him. We learned a language of petals and moonlight just to understand this moment without words. And now words must come. Or maybe not. Maybe what we have is beyond words anyway. The heat of his fingers against my jaw, the hush that flows around our exchange, becomes punctuation. I remember when he showed me the carved letters under the old oak by Moon Lake. For true love, only courage will do. It was childish, silly, but I've never felt more alive than when I pressed my palm there and felt possibility pulse through the wood. In every quiet second with him, I found courage I didn't know I had, like sunlight turned to solid gold inside me.
Mia.
There is a quiet agony to the way he says my name. He is closer now. I can feel each breath of warm air from his lips, brushing the pollen-laced breeze between us. Underneath the sapphire night sky, his silhouette is sharp and alive. This is it, the hinge of everything. I have to choose. My heart twists. I'm afraid of hurting him, afraid of losing the ordinary comforts of my old world, afraid of becoming something new entirely. If I say yes, I will awaken every morning in this garden, and the rest of the summer court, whispered rumors hidden under the castle, will unfold around me in its full, wild glamour. I might twirl in dewy meadows with brooks as evening fireworks of fairy light up the sky, but I will never see my parents again, never feel the crunch of autumn leaves beneath my feet. If I say no, I'll step back through that veil into the cold morning world, safe but leaving my heart behind in this golden dusk. His hand is on my shoulder now, and light from a hanging lantern dances across his face.
Mia,
He whispers again, as if he's both begging and promising. Maybe he doesn't even know which I will choose. I can't speak. My throat tightens the moment I open my mouth. Instead, I reach my hands toward him, terrified and burning, desperate to close the distance. In the silver light, he tilts his chin and captures my lips with his. The kiss is gentle but fierce, like falling asleep on a boat at sea that sets sail by moonlight. The world blurs at the edges, darkness hugging the gold glow of the petals. He tastes like night jasmine and the faintest hint of something electric. For one perfect heartbeat, I am weightless and whole and exactly where I'm meant to be.
Mia, please.
My knees buckle and I part, coming up for air reluctantly, fear and relief surging. There isn't a soul here beyond the 100 silent eyes of the wildflowers, watching with impassive petals. We share a trembling smile, and he tucks a stray lock of hair behind my ear. That simple act is both heartbreak and promise. So intimate, yet I could walk away at this second with no further warmth to remember. I manage only one word, but it dies in my throat. My words come like pieces of a broken mirror, jagged and incomplete. I want to say so many things, to explain everything that has happened to me in these last months, to tell him how he built a whole new world inside of me when mine was shattered, how his laughter has chased away old shadows in me. I want to plead with him not to be so afraid, but I'm too choked up to form the words.
Whatever you decide.
He stops himself, but I don't need him to finish. I see it in his eyes. He would follow me anywhere, and he's terrified that he might have to. The hurt and hope swirl in the space between us, like golden pollen in the summer air. Every atom of me aches with the decision. My fingers curl in the folds of his tunic, anchoring me to this impossible moment. I choose with my heart before my brain can catch up, not staying or leaving, but love. For a moment, it's neither one nor the other, just the two of us, caught between worlds, suspended in a breath. The enchantment around us seems to hold its own breath. Right now, I promise myself one thing: no matter what the cost, no matter where fate leads me next, I will remember this love. It will burn in my chest like a star, lighting my soul even if the rest of me fades. Inside my chest, I feel the old voice soften.
Promise me.
He whispers.
Promise you'll be safe.
My answer is a catch of my breath and a silent prayer. Both futures call to me, each ending in heartbreak. If I step across that veil, this garden will hold all my time, and the seasons I love will become only memories. If I walk away, part of me will always stay behind in this golden twilight. He has already become my world. Without him, what will be left of me? Both choices carve their weight into my bones. Part of me is ready to step through that veil and leave this glowing kingdom forever. And part of me wants to step deeper in, legs trembling as I hope I'm making the right choice. Brooks doesn't speak again, but his arms tighten around me, as if to say he will hold me no matter where I go. A single silver tear glitters against his collar as I tuck my head to his chest. I brush it away with my thumb, careful not to break the spell of the moment. I fold into his warmth, even as my heart splinters at the knowledge of what's coming. For a moment, everything is quiet but his heartbeat, and I feel like a child again, safe and hopeful, despite the cost. Then clarity floods me. In one future, I walk away and keep this night as the dreamiest memory of my life. In the other, I give it all up to become something he can be proud of, even if that means forgetting the life I had before. Both futures are bittersweet and hollowing in their own way. I realize he has become my everything, and the thought of losing him makes a hollowness bloom in my chest. This is the last dance, the end of one world, and maybe the beginning of another. The petals around us fall slower than usual, as if time itself is reluctant to let go. In this breath, I know the truth. Staying means giving up part of my soul to something eternal, and leaving means breaking more than just a promise. It is my heart itself on the line. Finally, I nod, unable to speak the rest. I won't forget. He presses a final kiss to my forehead, his warmth gentle and aching. Brooks.
Neither will I.
Under the first blush of dawn, I step back, eyes on the horizon of luminous leaves and golden sky, with one foot still in the garden's light and the other poised at the threshold. I realize some stories don't have neat endings. They end here, in the quiet magic between two breathless hearts